ListingView is a tool that helps you find best-selling products and niches on marketplaces like Etsy so that you can figure out what to list next. So in this video, I'm going to at least try to cover the 6 main tools and the way to use each tool to find your next bestseller. Now, there's 2 parts to ListingView. You have the website, which is the main app, and then you have the Google Chrome browser extension, which is really cool. And so that's where we'll start. But we'll also kind of hop back and forth so that you can see how they work together. Now, the Chrome plugin takes research to a whole nother level. And to install it, all you have to do is click the Chrome extension button and then click Add to Chrome and Add Extension, and it'll add it right into your Chrome web browser. Now, what you might want to do is right click it and pin it just so that it always stays active, or at least you can always see it in the top corner, because sometimes it can get buried in the list of other Chrome extensions. Once you've installed it, you just have to verify that you're properly signed in. You can see that I'm signed in right here. And so we can just go to Etsy and start analyzing products on the go. So with the plugin installed, you'll start to notice a few things. The first being this little listing view icon that appears on each listing that allows you to favorite or analyze that listing in listing view. But we're going to start on Etsy by just making a simple search for something like a Christmas shirt. Now, since I've installed the Google Chrome plugin, you'll start to notice a lot more data on Etsy's website itself. So when you make a search, the first thing you'll see right here up at the top is a summary of the listings that match this keyword. So Etsy is going to provide you a list of search results, which you'll see on this page. And ListingView is able to summarize all of the results, things like the competition and age, to give you a better understanding of that specific search term. So if we take a look here, you can see that competing for the keyword Christmas shirt is around 3 million other listings. So that's a lot of competition. But you'll also notice that on this page of search results, the average listing age is under 5 months. So there's a lot of new listings here. You can see things like the average outlier score, which we'll talk about in a minute. You'll also see the average sales for the listings on this page. You'll see the average monthly sales and monthly revenue, again, for the listings on this page, and some other details like views. You'll also get some badges indicating how many new, trending, and evergreen listings appear on this first page of search results. Now, all that data is calculated and populated on the website using the plugin, but you'll also notice that below each listing are some more metrics. We have some badges and some revenue details as well. The cool thing about ListingView is it lets you control which metrics you see on each listing. So if you click the plugin again, you'll see it brings up the badge settings. This controls which badges you're actually seeing below each listing that appears in search results. So I like to keep the main badges like the outlier score, the new badge, evergreen, and trending badges all visible. And I believe those are visible by default. And then I'll toggle off a lot of the other badges just so it's not super cluttered. I mostly want to see things like monthly revenue and monthly sales and age for the listings that I'm viewing. But the cool thing is that you can customize this however you want. So if you want those extra details, they're available for you. And below each listing, you'll see those exact details. For example, we have the new badge on this listing, as well as the trending and a 23x outlier score, which again, we'll talk about in just a second. And you can also see those monthly stats, like the monthly sales, monthly revenue, and how long ago this listing was created in months. Now, this makes it super easy to identify best-selling listings because these colorful badges point out listings that are performing a lot better than the others in a crowded marketplace like Etsy. So although Etsy might classify 2 listings as bestsellers, one might be making a lot more money than the other. ListingView also lets us filter our search results by bestsellers. So using this plugin, I can just click this Find Bestsellers button, and it's going to filter out all of the search results and make sure that we're only seeing listings that, according to Etsy's standards, are classified as bestsellers. As I scroll through this page, you'll notice that every single listing in the search results has Etsy's Popular Now or Bestseller badge on it. And you'll see that as I scroll through this page, there's a lot more listings that have pretty good sales metrics on them. So This makes it a lot easier if you're looking to find those best-selling listings to inspire your next product. Now, you might want to develop your own criteria for the way that you judge whether or not you use a product as inspiration. But for me personally, I like looking at new listings that have a lot of sales or listings with a really high outlier score to inspire my products. For example, a new product that's making a lot of monthly sales and monthly revenue means that it's a pretty good trending idea. But the outlier score is another really interesting metric to pay attention to. The outlier score tells you how well a specific product is performing relative to all the other listings in that same shop. This is important because really large shops that make thousands of sales and have tens of thousands of reviews typically get sales on all of their listings no matter what they post for sale. So if they have a listing with a really high outlier score, that means that that specific listing is one of their absolute best sellers. For example, this one right here is performing 44 times better than all of the other listings that are posted for sale in the same shop. You can think about it in terms of YouTube videos as well, where if Mr. Beast posts a video and it gets 1 million views, it might not be that good of a video. But if I posted a video and it got 1 million views, since my channel is a lot smaller overall, that would mean it's a great video in proportion. I would have a much higher outlier score for that video, and the same thing applies to Etsy listings. Listings that have outlier scores means that they're performing better than the other listings in the same shop. Now, whenever you click into a listing, you're going to get a lot more details as well. So you can see ListingView's card over here on the right with that trending, outlier, and evergreen badge telling you that this listing is selling consistently over time. This card also gives us a breakdown of a lot more stats as well. So you can see the total revenue, sales, monthly revenue, and monthly sales. You can see when the listing was posted, the conversion rate, and a lot more details along with it. But if we press this little down arrow, we can expand this drop down and get a breakdown of the tags that this listing is using to drive traffic to it. So these are all of the tags that this listing is using. And if you take a look, we can see a few important metrics. For example, you can see the amount of views that each tag is getting. You can see the number of competing listings or other listings that are using the same tag. And you can get an idea of whether or not ListingView recommends using this keyword as a part of your listing to drive a lot of sales. The score doesn't mean that these other tags won't drive any traffic. It just means that this one is going to be a lot easier since there's more views and less competition. So the plugin is definitely the easiest place to start using ListingView, especially if you're a beginner, because it just points out products that are best sellers. It helps you know exactly which products are selling best and how well they're actually selling. You can see almost all of the details that you'd need to right inside of Etsy, but there are still a few reasons why you might want to use ListingView on the website instead. So I just logged into my ListingView account, and this is exactly what you should see when you log in. And this tool is the database, and it's exactly what it sounds like. ListingView has data stored from hundreds of thousands of listings, shops, and keywords that are all searchable and sortable right inside of the database. Now, up in the top left corner, we have the tabs for listings, shops, and keywords. So when you click on one of these tabs, it's going to switch to that data. For example, if I click on shops, it's just going to be showing you all of the shops that are available. Now, just below those options, you'll also see a bunch of quick filters. It's by default selected to top, which just means that all of the data is sorted by total sales or the best performing shops, listings, or keywords. But we can apply some quick filters to filter out some of the data to see exactly what we want to. For example, if I click to open the new filter, we can filter out by new shops. So these are only shops that have opened within the last 180 days. And then from this list of shops, we can do the same thing. We can filter out by total sales or see the shops that have made the most total revenue. The same exact filters work on the listings table as well. So if we go to new listings that are posted, let's say in the last year, we can filter out and see which listings are making the most monthly revenue that are less than a year old. This gives you a ton of control because, like I said earlier, when I go to create a product, I'm looking at which products are selling best right now that were posted recently. I don't want to create a product based on something that was selling really well 11 years ago. I want to create a product based on something that was selling really well in the last year. Now, just a couple more pro tips before we move on. There's a ton of data in the database, and you can control what data you see by pressing this Edit Columns button. It'll bring up this menu and you can toggle off or on any of the columns that you want to see or don't want to see. And if some of the columns aren't visible to you, you can hold down Shift and scroll up or down with your mouse, and it'll kind of scroll side to side so that you can see all of those other columns come into view so that you can see the exact data that you're looking for. This is really important because, for example, maybe you want to find products in a specific category. So we can actually bring that category column over into view so that we can always see what category a specific product is in. Or maybe you want to see something like the type of the listing, whether it's physical or digital, or for example, the age, how long the listing has been available in terms of months. This data can be used in a bunch of different ways, so it's up to you to customize the dashboard and figure out exactly what data matters most so that you can find the next best seller for your shop. But like I said, I'm always looking for newer listings that are still making a good amount of sales, so that's why I like to look at the age column along with the monthly revenue and monthly sales. But if you don't like looking at this table style view, you can always come over and switch it to the visual browse mode. You're still able to sort by whatever data you want, but this turns it into a nice visual card view style instead of all of those rows and columns, which can make it a lot easier to view depending on the type of products that you're looking at. You still have all of the data available right below each image, so it's a really nice alternative if you don't like staring at a table. Finally, you need to understand how the database search works. The search is exact, meaning that if you search for something like Christmas shirt, it's going to show you all of the listings that contain that exact keyword. But keep in mind that if a listing is selling super well, but it has the keyword Christmas gift shirt, and it does not have the keyword Christmas shirt alone, then it will not show up. That's why I always recommend a super broad search in the database to get the absolute best results. This search algorithm should be updated in the future, but for now, you should know that that's how it works. So when I make that search in the database, you can see we're looking at listings that are less than a year old, that have the Christmas shirt keyword in them, and they're all sorted by monthly revenue. I could go through here and find a listing to use as inspiration for my next bestseller. And I know that when I go to create it, it's based on something that would already be proven to work. When I use the database, I'm using it to try and find listings that are making a ton of monthly sales or shops that were opened recently that are selling products in the same category as me. For example, if I go to shops and I filter by the new shops that opened in the last 180 days, and then I filter the results by monthly sales, you can see we get a ton of results. So if I'm selling something like a t-shirt, I can find the t-shirt shops that are selling the best. You can find shops that are selling pretty much anything imaginable. So for example, this shop is selling stockings. Now, if we click on one of these results, it'll open that shop in the shop analyzer. This helps us analyze shops, and it's kind of the top level item that we can analyze because shops hold listings and each listing has a bunch of keywords that go inside it. So shops are always the very top level item that you can analyze. And when you click on a shop, it's going to give you a more detailed breakdown of how that shop is performing. First of all, we have this chart. So we can view the shop's performance in sales over time with this graph idea. You can also switch this view over to the listings mode and view how they were posting listings over time and how that correlated to their sales. Of course, you also get a lot more details about the shop. For example, its overall rank relative to the other shops on Etsy. You can see things like their listings and sales data. And there's pretty much every other detail imaginable all the way at the bottom of the page. So if you want to see their primary or secondary category of product that they're selling, you can view all of that in the full details section, but there's a lot to get in there, so I'll let you get into that on your own. The main way that I use the shop analyzer is to study which listings each shop has for sale that are performing the best. So what you can do is, using this listings table, we can filter out their listings to see which listings are making the most monthly sales, for example. And now we have a curated list of best-selling products from this shop that I could use as inspiration to go create my own. Now, just like with the shop analyzer, clicking any single listing is going to open that listing in the Listing Explorer. So it's a very similar page in terms of layout. You'll see that we have this chart on the right-hand side that shows you how the listing is selling over time. And then we have the detail or stat cards on the left that show you how well this specific listing is actually selling. The Listing Explorer helps you get a detailed breakdown on specific listings, but it also helps you see which tags each listing is using to drive sales. So this tags table shows us all of the tags that are being used in the listing, and it helps us get a good idea of which keywords or search terms might be easier to rank for and make sales with. You're able to see the competing listings to views ratio, and that's represented with the recommendation score. In theory, the higher the score, the easier it will be to rank and make sales for that keyword. And sometimes looking at these keywords can help you get more niche ideas depending on the product you're selling. I like to use the Listing Explorer, obviously, to validate the idea for the listing itself, but also to get ideas for how to style your mockup, for example. So what I might want to do is add this listing to my watch list so that I can come back to it later, and then we'll analyze one of these keywords. For example, the velvet stocking keyword, I'll just search for it, and this will bring up the second to last tool, the keyword finder. This gives us a really good breakdown of that specific tag or keyword or search term. So for example, this keyword velvet stocking has a really good search volume, not a ton of competing listings, a lot of views, and a good amount of total revenue. So you can see that it has a pretty high recommendation score. You also get a few similar keywords as well. So if this isn't exactly what you're selling, you might be able to get some more ideas by looking at this similar keywords table. Now, this recommendation score doesn't guarantee you sales, and it also doesn't mean that it's impossible to get sales if the score is low. It's just an idea of how competitive that keyword is relative to the search volume it's getting. Most of the time, using keywords that have less competition and more search volume are going to be easier to rank for. I like using this to find keywords and tags to use in my listings, but I also like using the keyword finder to find the best-selling listings using those keywords. So if you scroll down, you'll see this top listings table, and this shows you all of the listings using this searched keyword. So in this case, velvet stocking. And I can filter these listings out to see which ones are making the most amount of sales over time. Again, this is just another way of finding more best-selling products to inspire your own. Once you find a shop that's selling the type of products that you want to sell, you can look at their listings to get inspiration that way. And then you can look at the keywords they're using in those listings and find other best-selling listings using the same keywords. It's kind of like being able to come up with infinite inspiration for the next product you list for sale. The way I like to use the keyword finder is to get ideas for tags that I can use in my listing, to look for other niche ideas or keywords that I might not have thought of on my own. And when I do find a keyword that's working really well, I like to look at the top listings using that keyword. That way I get a good idea of how to create my own products and the keywords to use in it. Now, I know we covered that kind of quickly, but hopefully you get a good rough idea because there's a lot here and a lot of information to go into. But the final tool I'll touch on is the Listing Optimizer. This is a tool that connects directly to your shop. So as long as you have some listings and maybe you're starting to make some sales, you'll be able to use it. And it helps you optimize your listings to hopefully get a few more sales out of each one. The cool thing here is, unlike what you're able to see on Etsy, you're able to see really accurate details about how much total revenue and total profit your shop is actually making. Not many people know this, but when you look at the stats dashboard on Etsy itself, they're calculating your revenue before including things like your shipping revenue, which can be a huge part of your business. This breaks down all of your revenue channels, all of the fees that you've made, and your total profit and bottom line after Etsy's taken their entire cut. You can see that breakdown for your overall shop as well as for the individual listings in your shop. Now, if you click on one of your listings, it'll open the actual Listing Optimizer, which is a page that is dedicated to helping you optimize your listing to get the best possible performance. You can see your overall scores for the listing. So this listing could probably use a better description. And you get a breakdown for each core section of your listing. So if your listing needs better photos or has low quality images, then ListingView is going to tell you. Same thing with your title, your tags, and obviously your description as well. So once you connect your shop and you click on a listing, it'll show you exactly what you need to do to improve that listing according to Etsy's handbook to hopefully get better performance over time. You're also able to make edits to your product right inside of the optimizer. So If you're reusing a word too often, you can change it out, and then you can publish those edits directly to your shop, to your listing. So yeah, at a high level, that's about it. It helps you find your next best-selling product, and it helps you optimize the listings that are in your shop. Now, for some of the features that we looked at, ListingView is a paid tool, but here's how to get the absolute best pricing if you do want to upgrade. You can either do the default monthly plan, or you can get the yearly plan for $299. But instead of grabbing this one, even though it does save you $60, if you start the checkout process for the monthly $30 per month plan and you hit subscribe, you're going to get an offer for a 40% off $199 per year plan. Now, that can seem like a steep upfront price, but that comes out to around $16.50 per month. That means if you go with the normal monthly plan, you're paying nearly double what you would if you just grab this special one-time offer. Of course, if there's any other coupons or discounts that I can get, I'll leave them right below the subscribe button in the comments. And let me know if you have any questions as well. But for now, that's about it.